something in my presence, you're going to know what fear actually feels like. This is a war you want, the war you're going to get, but I can guarantee you you're not going to get the outcome you want.
I'm going to blend them into a smoothie, eat them right in front of you. I'm going to be eating these little ass babies, and what are they going to do? Cry to God about it?
So the Supreme Court just ruled that states are now free to ban biological males from girls' and women's sports teams, and the trans activists are absolutely losing it. Now, to be real, this ruling isn't a federal ban. It just gives states the authority to decide for themselves whether they want to allow trans athletes in women's sports. But trans activists don't want states to have that choice, and they went completely off the rails. They're out here screaming things like God is trans, and some of them are now threatening women athletes who refuse to compete against biological males.
God is trans! God is trans! God is trans!
And I'm about to show you exactly what I'm talking about in just a minute. But first, we need to break down what this Supreme Court ruling actually means. So this all started after 2 trans students took their states to court. The first case came out of Idaho, where trans runner Lindsay Hecox wanted to compete on the women's track and cross-country teams at Boise State. Idaho said absolutely not because they've got something called the Fairness in Women's Sports Act. So Lindsay sued her state, but then out of nowhere, she voluntarily dismissed her own case last September and blamed all the public backlash for making her give up on the lawsuit. Then you've got the companion case the Supreme Court heard involving Becky Pepper Jackson. This is a transgender shot putter from West Virginia. Becky was born male but has been on puberty blockers and started identifying as a girl at just 8 years old. And by the time she was in high school, she wanted to compete on the girls' teams. But West Virginia's law said no, so she sued them. So you've got 2 separate lawsuits in 2 states brought by 2 different trans individuals. But the Supreme Court decided to hear them together because they were both asking the same question. Can a state legally say that girls' sports are for biological females only? And the court now made their decision and said yes, every state has the legal right to decide if they want to keep trans athletes out of women's teams. The 6 conservative justices all lined up together, and all 3 female liberal justices all dissented. So the conservative justices argued that states should separate boys and girls' sports because biological differences actually matter when it comes to competition. And the reason is pretty straightforward. Anyone who went through male puberty typically keeps physical advantages in strength, speed, endurance, or size. Even if they later transition, they usually still retain those advantages. And that's just how biology works. And because of that, the Constitution gives states the right to restrict girls' sports to biological females. Justice Clarence Thomas said biological sex is an objective fact, and that states have every right to use it when drawing up athletic categories. He also made it clear he's not buying the argument that hormone therapy magically wipes out all the advantages these trans athletes gained from going through male puberty. But Justice Sonia Sotomayor fired back in her dissent, and she claimed that transgender athletes who transitioned before male puberty started might not have these physical advantages. Now, before this decision was made, more than 24 states already had laws on the books restricting trans participation in girls' and women's sports. However, most of them were tied up in court cases. But now, after this ruling, though, the Supreme Court basically said those laws can now be enforced. So it's now officially up to each state to decide if they want to ban trans athletes from women's teams or let them compete. So now I want to talk about the backlash from trans activists, because this is where things get, well, unhinged. The mother of trans athlete Abraham A.B. Hernandez completely lost it and started going off about how parents of trans kids are just better at parenting than everyone else. Check this out.
What was wrong? Understand is that our children should come to us and have that confidence to come to us as parents. Unlike you, that you don't support your kid, AB has this mother, the best mother, with a good heart. So turn around and leave us alone.
But here's what AB's mother conveniently left out of her little rant. AB is currently facing a federal lawsuit filed by 3 girls, 2 current teammates, and 1 former, Alyssa McPherson, Hadil Hazama, and Madison McPherson. These 3 girls are alleging that AB Hernandez made unwanted physical contact with them, including slapping or touching female players' backsides during practices and games. On top of that, they said that being forced to share locker rooms with a biological male violated their privacy and went against their religious beliefs. Alyssa and Hadil actually quit the team because they felt unsafe around AB. And here's Alyssa McPherson and her mother speaking out about this case and just how unfair this whole situation is to girls.
It's so unfair that not only am I missing out on my senior season, but my other teammates Our JV team and our freshman team aren't playing either, and it's just so disheartening that they're not going to have a season, and we just want to be able to compete, play, and have fun.
But A.B. Hernandez couldn't care less. A.B. is out here calling the people who complain weird and claiming that half of the girls on the team support this.
Like, all this attention is just, it's weird, not as much as I'm used to getting. And they're like, oh, these girls know it's wrong, and these girls this, these girls. Half of those girls are on my side, so I don't really understand what you're doing. It's just weird at this point.
But it gets even crazier when you see how some of these trans athletes are making serious threats against women who disagree with them. Let me show you exactly what I'm talking about.
I dare you to try and stop me from going into a women's bathroom. It will be the last mistake you ever make. I dare you to try and stop a transgender woman in my presence from using the bathroom. It will be the last mistake you ever make. This is a call to action and a call to arms to everybody within the United States.
I want to show you this clip of Olympic gold medalist Tamyra Mensah-Stock. She had a perfect answer when they asked her if she would compete against a trans wrestler.
I've wrestled plenty of guys in practice, and I will only wrestle them in practice, because wrestling men is very, very difficult, even when they're 20 pounds smaller than me. So if they're the same weight as me, I just keep it in practice.
All right, that's all I got for you guys today, but I want to hear your thoughts on this Supreme Court ruling. Do you agree with it? Do you think it goes far enough, or should they take it even further and issue a full federal ban on trans athletes in women's sports? Drop your comments below, and I'll catch you in the next one.